As a filmmaker, I generally don't like to skim the surface, instead diving into the core of the source, or sources. There's often many sides to a story, and in this Venice Beach skatepark classic, I dive into the reality that became what is. Six in the morning, they're building the Venice skatepark. Believe it, finally. I can't believe it.
Dimensions are approximately 16,000 square feet. The bowl is 9 feet deep. It might be 9.6.
I really like the change in the carvingness of Venice. I think it complements the whole neighborhood and every pull around. I'd say the one thing that makes it kind of unique is the snake run. Street course, if I had to comment on it, I'd say this much. If I had to rate it between 1 and 10, I'd give it a 6.5. And I'm just being honest. It's not the greatest, and it's not, and it's not the worst. You really can't complain. It's, what they're working with right now is ridiculous. And so it's definitely a step up or two.
Hello, I'm Geri Lewis, and I'm Executive Director of the Venice Surf and Skateboard Association.
My name's Jesse Martinez. I was raised and born here in Venice, California.
This was an alpha center of skateboarding. There's several pockets up and down the coast of California and other places, but you could definitely put your finger here as a locale for innovators and originators.
And you're looking at about somewhere in the neighborhood between 60 and 70 the legitimate professionals that have come out of a 2-mile stretch. It's just amazing to where you had no parks, you had no pools, you generated 20, 30 pros on flat walls and curbs, and they became some of the most legendary 80s skaters to this day.
Here we go, Pat Ngoho, Venice, California. Venice is like the beginning of modern skateboarding and on the extreme tip. So there's so much that's gone down here through the ages, from the Z-Boys to the days of the pavilion. So many great skaters have come out of here, and we see this as a park to commemorate a lot of that.
I've been skateboarding on this beach since the 1950s. My name is Ray Flores, and I'm one of the original Dogtown guys. This used to be a skate park right here. It was the pavilion right here.
Well, the Venice Pavilion meant a few things. We're talking about the pit, the pavilion.
And it wasn't much of a skate park. It was like a big street area with walls and tables. And
it was a good spot, and it's sort of a skateboarding sort of outgrew that spot in a way, but it was still a cool spot. I miss it, and so did all the locals. In the year 2000, they finally determined they were going to tear it down, when they re-renovated the beach area. It was good and bad when it got torn down.
Well, I knew what was going down since '89. A lot of people wouldn't listen to me until that pavilion was knocked into dust. The city knocked it down because it wasn't being used for its original intended purposes. The city government wanted to give us an ice and roller hockey rink. And when I found out about that, I was like, listen, went back to the neighborhood, to all the cats, all the skaters, anyone would listen and say, look, considering the history here, just wasn't going to have it. At that time, Jesse got on board, and Polar Bear was still alive, and those dudes, they were like, listen to Geri, and we got to get on board with this thing. And
the idea was already being thrown around before that, like maybe 5 years before that. There was a small push to get a skate park, which started all the idea of getting a skate park, which eventually led to what we have today.
This park would not have been built if it wasn't for the efforts of VSA members. It just wouldn't be there. The VSA members did everything from lobbying, campaigning, construction, design, everything.
No, it's broke. It's like concrete. I'd say the hardest thing was the wait.
Getting the funding for the park and having our voices heard, that this is what we want, a skate park here. We really started with the city, and we went through 3 city council terms, different city council representatives.
We watch mayors and city councils come and go.
A lot of politicking, a lot of dirty politics. There were a few times when if we didn't make a meeting or a unannounced meeting, there'd be no skate park out there today. A few times. And a lot of people pulled together where if I couldn't make it, they would make sure they were at that meeting just to represent skateboarders' interests. People ask, well, why was the park so expensive? But this isn't like digging a ditch in Chino. You're right on the ocean, on the sand. The water table is only 20 feet below. So you're building on top of a very shallow water table. Secondly, the area was an oil field. It had to be remediated, meaning all the toxic pollutants had to be cleaned up. And the wellheads capped 250 feet below the surface. So these were really engineering feats that actually haven't been done for a skate park ever before. Out there on the terrain, the geography was challenging as well for the engineers.
It's definitely a unique park. Location, number one. You know, I think we're somewhere in the top 3, pretty much anywhere closest to the ocean, an ideal location. I would say as far as weather goes too, no humidity.
Venice Beach is the second biggest tourist attraction in California. 20,000 plus people walk this boardwalk every weekend, so it's going to draw a huge crowd, and it just needs to be done properly. You know, it needs to be done in a respectful way so people realize that skateboarding's not for just the rebel, it's for everybody.
It's just one of those deals that we've been sitting on, waiting, wondering when the city was going to work with us instead of working against us. So finally we've been blessed.
I say the mixture of people that get this park since '86 was a fine mixture of skaters, lawyers, college graduates, and just just local guys who really wanted to just support the skate park and see it actually here.
You don't have to destroy everything. We can build together, and that's my message to the youth, really, and everybody out there watching.
And I'm just proud of Venice. I'm proud of my guys that just didn't give up, persevered, and that says something about our neighborhood, Venice, and the guys here that really love what they do. We really love skateboarding, and that's what matters, and I think it's shown.
Consideration for a different style of riding, which is flow and style here. So definitely that, and I see it reflected in the new kids. So yeah, I think that will be a great legacy that will continue from this park.
The future is really bright with that skate park out there. Every skateboarder from around the globe, once again, will be coming to Venice to skateboard. And that in itself is just almost overwhelmingly gratifying. And it's a dream come true, really. Not something that we used as a de facto skate park, but something built for skateboarding, and they won't be hassled for it. I remember when the pavilion was torn down and dudes that came from Europe or wherever and to skate the pit, and it was gone, and the look on their faces was devastating. It was like, going to Mecca and the temple's gone. Now we have our temple back, so it's time to worship.
become Birkenstock. Fuck that! Try and take us down, try and take us over. Try and take us down, try and take us over. And you taste the blood upon your shoulder.
The future for this park is it's either going to be extremely bleak, the Wild West, or it's going to be maintained and controlled. So the future is sketchy, but it wouldn't be Venice if it wasn't sketchy. So, welcome to Venice.
Please hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you.